The Polkadot ecosystem is quickly becoming one of my favorite ecosystems out there. Why? Well, a lot of their parachains are just starting to take off. And with Polkadot 2.0 right around the corner, it's time for us to pay attention. That's why today, I'm gonna rank 8 of the most exciting projects in Polkadot land. And for each one, I'll share my pros and cons, as well as my final verdict. Starting with the first project, which is one of the most ambitious ones I've ever seen. It is looking to take on the likes of BlackRock and Goldman Sachs in the super hot niche of real-world assets. It's called Centrifuge, and some consider them the premier solution for tokenizing real-world assets. Now, as far as what I like, well, they're the 4th largest RWA protocol in terms of market cap, and they're one of the largest projects in the entire Polkadot ecosystem. So that's quite impressive. But another thing I like is that over 90% of their tokens are already in circulation. That is amazing. And it means we don't have to worry about those chart-crushing dumps from token unlocks that we so often see with other projects. But while there's a lot to like, I also have some concerns here. First, I question whether Centrifuge can really beat out the TradFi giants looking to launch their own solutions. If major players like JP Morgan or BlackRock enter the space, they may be able to attract users to their platforms on reputation alone. But beyond that, I'm also worried about the default risk that all these RWA projects face. Default risk is when borrowers are unable to pay back lenders for whatever reason, and this is a real problem for this niche. Like, did you know that Maple Finance defaulted on $69 million worth of debt last year? That is crazy. And Centrifuge currently has over $19 million worth of loans in default, which is not good. So that's definitely something that could hold back the growth of these platforms. But that being said, I still like Centrifuge, and as it's the first project on our list, it goes at the top spot. Now, our next project, you could call the Lido Finance of Polkadot. Its name is Bifrost, and they're in the business of liquid staking. When you stake your coins with Bifrost, they give you back something called V tokens. And you can do that with a bunch of different assets such as DOT, Kusama, and even ETH and Filecoin. So that's amazing, but what else is there to like about it? Well, I like that Bifrost has the 2nd highest total value locked among all Polkadot parachains, which demonstrates strong product market fit. Also, the data shows particularly strong demand for Bifrost's V-Dot token. I'm not really surprised to see that, because the V-Dot is the first liquid staking token that retains the governance rights of the original chain. That means that V-Dot holders can vote in Polkadot's OpenGov, while also obtaining yield through Bifrost. But besides that, I like that all their tokens have been fully vested, so we don't have to worry about big unlocks in the future. So all this sounds quite amazing. But before you get too bullish, hold up, because there are some dislikes to consider as well. For example, I have some concerns about their V token's ability to hold their pegs. Their VETH token trades at a discount with a 3rd worst peg among all competitors. I'm not exactly sure why that is, but I do know that it could scare off potential users from adopting VETH, and that would definitely hurt them long term. Furthermore, when I was trying out their product, I couldn't even access their VETH staking feature no matter what I tried. Now, this could have been a glitch, or I may have made a silly mistake, but either way, this is not something you want to see when you're considering investing in a project. And besides that, I'm also concerned about their adoption numbers, because they barely have any adoption for their liquid staking tokens besides V-Dot. So that makes me wonder if they'll be able to break out of their niche in Polkadot land to truly achieve their cross-chain vision. That's why, all things considered, I'm putting them at number 2 on our running list. Now, this next project is arguably the most hyped up project in the entire Polkadot ecosystem. It's called HydraDX. And yes, technically it's a DEX, but calling it that does it a huge disservice because it goes way beyond what you'd expect out of a normal DEX. Let me explain. So instead of having a bunch of separate liquidity pools for each token, HydraDX invented something called the Omni Pool, which combines all assets into a single pool. This solves a bunch of issues plaguing today's DEXs, such as liquidity fragmentation. But beyond that, there's a lot more things to like as well. For example, I'm a big fan of HydraDX's advanced features. They have this automated dollar cost averaging feature that helps you smoothly enter positions in a set and forget manner. And this isn't just some feature that's cool in theory. It's actually getting used as we speak. The Polkadot core developers are using Hydra to, quote, diversify into USDT and pay salaries, fully autonomous, without trust, using decentralized products. Pretty cool, eh? And then another thing I like is that HydraDX has added EVM compatibility, as that opens up the entire EVM world to Hydra's great products. All these product decisions have translated into some impressive stats. Like, just look at their TVL and volume charts. They are both absolutely rocketing. So that's truly amazing. But as always, I do have some concerns as well. First, HydraDX's usage stats are decent compared to other Polkadot dexes, but they are still lagging behind similar projects in other ecosystems, such as Osmosis and the Cosmos ecosystem. Not to mention, their prestigious Omnipool lacks permissionless access. That means you won't be able to find all the latest and greatest Polkadot tokens on HydraDX, as they have to go through a lengthy community vote process to get listed. So that's quite different from Uniswap or other dexes where anyone can freely add pools for the hottest assets out there. Now, they are addressing this shortcoming in the future, but for now, this is still the case, so they are leaving a lot of money/revenue on the table with their current setup. But despite my concerns, I still believe in HydraDX's massive potential, which is why I'm putting them all the way at the top of our running list. Now, this next project is kind of a hard one to understand, but once you truly understand it, I promise it'll blow your mind. It's called Phala Network, and what they've built is truly game-changing. They've created an off-chain computing infrastructure that can help take smart contracts to the next level. Developers can integrate their dApps with Phala to access cross-chain services, access the internet, and even handle heavy computations without breaking a sweat. The secret sauce is their fat contracts, which are like smart contracts on steroids. But in terms of other things I like, well, I really like the tokenomics. A whopping 64% of the supply is already distributed. And get this, most of the remaining supply will come from mining rewards over time. And beyond that, Phala taps into the red-hot DePIN narrative by supplying bandwidth and storage as a digital resource network. So it's got a great narrative, great tokenomics, and great tech. What more could you ask for? Oh, come on! Well, as always, you gotta consider my cons before you ape in. And my first concern is that Phala is spreading itself too thin across multiple offerings instead of focusing on a few specific products. The way I see it, they need to specialize in order to compete with some beasts like Chainlink for various offerings. And I would hate to see an unfocused roadmap hurt the adoption of their offerings, despite them having such great tech. I'm also worried that their complex node setups and hardware requirements are going to turn some devs off. That being said, I still love what they're doing, which is why I'm putting them at the very top of my running list, becoming the new #1. Now, this next project, I'm really torn on, because on one hand, it's in an exciting sector, but on the other hand, it's struggling with adoption. But before we get there and figure out what's going on, I want to ask, how many of y'all are working on your crypto taxes right now? It is tax season in the US after all, and if y'all are like me, then your typical crypto tax tools are giving you a huge headache right now. You're probably wishing that you could just pay someone else to do it for you, so you can save all the headache and time otherwise spent trying to get it right. Well, fortunately, your wishes have been heard because I got something for you. It's called Blockchain Crypto Tax Prep, and with full disclosure, they are the sponsor of our video. But I think this is exactly what some of y'all are looking for, because it's a done-for-you service where tax professionals figure it all out for you. Really, they comb through your transactions and figure out airdrops, staking rewards, you name it. So you can save a bunch of time and have the peace of mind that your taxes are being calculated in an accurate manner. The best part is their service is incredibly affordable. It's only $295 for 4 wallets and 1,000 transactions. So if this sounds up your alley, then check this out. You can get a free consultation with them to discuss your crypto tax needs in detail. All you gotta do is be sure to sign up using my link below. Alright, back to my rankings, and this next project is called Zeitgeist. They're building prediction markets on Polkadot, and basically they let you leverage the wisdom of the crowds to forecast future events. They have markets to bet on sports, finance, and even blockchain governance proposals. For example, their unique feudtarchy model lets prediction markets influence actual governance decisions across Polkadot's OpenGov. By building markets where people can wager on the outcomes of events, Zeitgeist believes that they can aggregate the wisdom of the crowds and use those data signals to help make more informed choices. But beyond that, I'm seeing crazy hype and adoption for other prediction markets like Poly Market lately. After years of stagnation, the prediction market sector may finally be taking off. Heck, even Trump is retweeting them, and the general public is clearly catching on. So that's great to see, but it could also be a cyclical thing. Like maybe prediction markets will run up in 2024 with the US presidential elections going on, but then drop off a cliff in 2025. But even if that's not the case, another thing I dislike about Zeitgeist is the regulatory risk involved. The reality is that betting markets always face higher regulatory risks than other projects. Even Polymarket had to geo-block Americans from using their site due to such risks. And then, another dislike is that user adoption appears to be super low for Zeitgeist despite the momentum seen with its competitors. That's why, all things considered, I gotta rank this at the bottom of a running list at number 5. Now, this next project is a Polkadot project, but what they're really doing is all about Bitcoin. It's called Interlay, and they're looking to expand the utility of Bitcoin beyond just buy and hold. They do so by letting users mint iBTC, a decentralized Bitcoin-backed asset on Polkadot. But what do I like about this project? Well, with Bitcoin rocketing lately, institutions are finally buying Bitcoin in droves, and protocols like Interlay allow them to earn yield on their BTC instead of just holding. And you know the TradFi crowd loves their yield. But another thing I like is that they've implemented an extra layer of insurance in their system that can back the deposited BTC in case of bridge failure. That's definitely more reassuring than if they didn't have such protections in place. But then I also like how they have a new layer 2 solution called BOB that can even allow people to build dApps on top of Bitcoin. So they're doing so many things, and I bet you're super bullish by now. But before you ape in, hear me out about my concerns. For example, they have to deal with bridges to make their system work. And we all know how that's a tall task. Like we've seen those multi-million-dollar bridge hacks take down projects in the past few years. So if vulnerabilities or exploits do occur, it could severely break trust in products such as iBTC. And then you have the fact that Interlay faces steep competition from all sides. Some competitors offer simpler solutions without the need for wrapping or pegging. And other competitors like BitGo's WBTC dwarfs iBTC when it comes to adoption. That being said, I do like what Interlay is doing, which is why I'm putting it number 4 on my running list, just below Centrifuge. Now, this next project is super important because it's working on one of the final frontiers of crypto, aka decentralized identity. If you listen to the experts out there, you'll hear them say that decentralized identity is super important, yet there's no widespread solution for it currently. Well, Kilt Protocol is looking to change all of that. They use all sorts of technologies such as decentralized IDs and zero-knowledge proofs to do things such as KYC, credential verification, and even website logins. But what I really like about them is that they've locked down some big name partnerships. Like Deloitte is using Kilt Protocol in their shipping logistics platform, and Polemic, a decentralized fundraising protocol, uses Kilt Protocol to do their KYC. Partnerships like these highlight Kilt's commitment to provide practical and compliant solutions that can be used in the real world. And that's how you drive credibility and adoption. Finally, I like how their solution creates one universal identity across all Polkadot parachains, as that's way better than each parachain creating or adopting their own solution. So that is all great, of course. But let me be straight with you. Adoption of decentralized IDs remains low, and this sector is facing an uphill battle. On one hand, you have data-hungry monopolies like Meta or Google that will defend their turf at all costs. They do love selling our data after all. And then on the other hand, you have all the companies and end users that just want to stick with something familiar rather than uproot their entire identity process and switch to Kilt Protocol. That's why I do wonder if the world is ready for what Kilt is offering. And if the answer is no, then that's a big problem because a project like Kilt needs mass adoption in order to succeed. After all, a splintered landscape for decentralized identity is like having nothing at all. Anyhow, that's my take, which is why I'm putting them just below Interlay at number 5. Now, this next project is one of the OG projects in this space, and they're using blockchain tech to revolutionize the energy sector. The name is Energy Web, and in terms of what I like about them, well, definitely its narrative, as it's in the red-hot deep-in sector, just like Phala Network. But for Energy Web, we're talking about making energy markets more transparent and helping balance supply and demand for renewables. Now, something else I really like is their partnerships, as they already have them with industry giants such as Shell, Vodafone, and much more. Those juggernauts don't just partner with anyone. It shows that Energy Web is building real solutions that tap into the tailwinds of sustainability and decentralization. The team's strong energy sector background is also a huge asset in forging these partnerships. They speak the industry's language, which goes a long way in establishing credibility and trust with big players. So if their various solutions get adopted at scale, we could see some serious demand flowing into their project. Anyhow, there's no doubt that this is a potentially transformative use case, but just how good of an investment is it? Well, I remember noticing this project back in 2019 and thinking that it seemed like one of those 2017 style ICOs that try to force blockchain into every industry without good reason. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case for Energy Web, but the issue is that its success rides on a hypothetical mass-scale transformation, which is never guaranteed. Legacy players could resist change and kill momentum quickly. And the numbers don't lie. The total value locked in their platform is basically at all-time lows, flatlining at a mere $360,000. Plus, Energy Web faces visibility challenges with minimal presence in the mainstream news and social media. This limits its ability to attract new investors and users, which is crucial for growth. That's why, all things considered, I'm putting them at the bottom of our list at number 8. Well, there you have it, my final ranking of these Polkadot ecosystem projects. But what I want to know is, do you agree with my rankings? Or would you move some things around? Let me know in the comments below. And next up, we're ranking Avalanche ecosystem projects, so subscribe to catch that. And don't forget to check out Blockchain Crypto Tax Prep. Get a free consultation by using my link below.